So I'll just try to tell the story a bit, how it all started, and then I hope you can pick one or two things. So I've been sitting here. I got here by 9 o'clock very early, and I've been here all day. So I've listened to everyone, and one thing is consistent. Everyone is trying to emphasize on the process before the success, right? And I hope you take that home, right? There is a process for everything. Alma just talked about drops leading to the ocean. It's pretty much the same thing. There is no success without a process, right? And my topic today, when I was thinking about it, I'm like, okay, what is our story really? And our story really is about opportunity meeting preparedness. That's really what the story of Piggyvest is. Um, we all graduated from Covenant University, some in 2012, some in 2013. Um, I'm sure some of you might know the story, but we're a team of 7 founding members. It all started out in Covenant University. I remember in my 300 level, I had to go for my IT. And then I worked in an oil company called Total Nigeria PLC. Have you worked there? Oh, wow. Nice. So my department was the department in charge of refilling fuel cards. I worked in front office. And then my boss was pregnant at the time, so I was the one doing all the runarounds. I literally go from office to collect signatures so that I can carry the cards and the tellers from the drivers to the back office to make sure the cards are loaded. It was very hectic, right? And I'm wondering, why do I have to do all this? So if the next person comes, you have to do, just to load one card, you have to go to like 3 different offices to pick up signatures and then finally go to the back office before one card can be loaded. And then there's 10, 15 drivers waiting for those things to happen. So for my final year project, I decided to automate that entire system. And I came back to school, and then I called my friends, like, yo, we need to do this thing. And if we do a good job, we can sell it to the company and make a lot of money. So I came back to school, called up Sumto. Sumto is now the CEO of Piggyvest, by the way. At the time, Sumto was building robots in school. He built a robot hand. He built an aeroplane that tried to fly. Yeah, but it didn't quite work out. And then I met some other people again on the team, and we started to build this solution, right? I'm like, you know what, this is it. We're going to make it big. And started going for the meetings and everything from school. My roommate at the time would drive us to his house, and then we'll drive to VI just to attend the meetings, literally. And that's how we continued. And for 2 years, there was nothing to show for it. After everything, they told us that the head office in France had built them a solution and they wouldn't be going ahead with ours anymore. So it was a lot of learning. Like, you could understand how corporates behave, right? But then we had built something. We had learned how to build something. We had learned how to work as a team to build something. And then that didn't work out. Subsequently, they called us back, I think after a few more years, to come and do something for them. Now, the reason they called us back was because they knew that we could do stuff like that. You won't get those opportunities if you don't try. If you're not built for certain opportunities, when they come, you will not be able to recognize it, let alone doing it. So that came, we did it, and that's how we started to build software and companies. In school, we built a social network. I think it was called Paroles at the time. It had cards and very interesting stuff. Again, our friends, in school, they knew about us, this bunch of guys who were just building things, very interesting things. So that would make sense, when we launched Piggyvest, and I'll get to that. So we continued to build a lot of things. 2014, we got a couple of mentors. 2015, up until 2015 December. So December 31st, 2015, there was a conversation going on online someone broke a box and had saved 365,000 naira from putting aside 1K in a box every day. She broke the box and she put a picture online and it was going viral. And everybody wanted to save, right? So we saw it and I called Sumto. He's like, yo, we need to do something about this. And he's like, I should not worry. Like, he's going to buy the domain name. So we got a domain name called piggybank.ng. That was the name we had. That was the name we started with at the time. And in a few days, we had an MVP. We had a website. We didn't have any app, right? Then everybody wanted to save because a lot of people on the internet were saying how much they ended the year, they didn't have any savings. In fact, there was no culture of savings at the time. If you wanted to save, the options you had at the time was you would open multiple bank accounts and not collect an ATM card on some of them so that you can separate your money and put some money aside for your rent in one account, or you do a job with your friends, right? Or you get a colo. Those were the only other options available for you to manage your money at the time when there was no Piggyvest. And then, again, when that opportunity came, we had built a solution called Push CV. This was in 2014. It had over 1 million users. And what that taught us was how to build platforms that could accommodate millions of Nigerians. We understood how Nigerians reacted to apps, how they reacted to platforms, how they think, right? So again, if we had not tried to build those things and failed, I could go on and on about all the startups we failed at. We failed at like 7 to 8 different things that we tried. Did like 6 different startups at the same time. Just trying out different things. I think that was the time Uber launched. So the Uber model was very interesting. We tried it out on different verticals. So we're like, okay, homemade meals. How can we connect people who are making homemade meals to people who want these meals? How can we connect freelancers to people who want freelancers, right? But all of those models did not work. But again, up until that tweet that happened, and then we saw it, and we decided to do something about it. And again, thankfully, Paystack had launched. So Paystack was pretty much the catalyst. And then we launched a website, piggybank.ng. And it was like, okay, who are this bunch of guys that want to help us keep our money, right? Very, very audacious stuff, right? Like Alma said, audacity, really. The world only rewards people who are audacious. If Tunde did not say he wants to go break a challenge by being the highest chess record player, whatever it is, nobody will know who he is today. If Hilda Bassi did not decide to do the cookathon, nobody will know who she is today. So if you're not courageous, if you're not audacious, your chances are very limited, right? And then by the end of the first year, 2016, we had helped our users save 21 million naira. 21 million naira at the time was a big deal to us. So like, okay, people trusted us with 21 million naira for an entire year. This was like from 400 users, 400 active users. And then it was very interesting because we're new in the space. None of us had worked in a bank before, but we're pretty much building a bank. No experience, nothing whatsoever, just people who loved technology, people who wanted to create a solution, something that would help young people just keep their money and manage their money. So the problem we had was a personal problem. I remember going back home that December, I couldn't even afford to buy anything for my parents. I hear a lot of people today, they want to build companies and then you're like, you start from, oh, I want to build a startup. What do I build? It's much better if you start from the problem. You go from the problem, then you actually figure out what you want to build. Then it's much easier that way. So 2016, 21 million. And the next year, we sent an email to all our users that, oh, this is what we did this year, right? It was very interesting. They're like, okay, these guys are transparent, they're honest, they're communicating. And the next year, we grew to about 700 million the next year. Hold on. So that continued to happen, and it was basically us learning from our users. I remember I was the one picking the calls. I was doing customer service. I was picking the calls, replying emails, or doing my co-founder. She was putting out tweets. Sumto was the one coding, right? For a very long time, Sumto was the only engineer we had, right? And which is also important. One of my points I wrote down was, you really cannot do it alone. When it's time to create, you need partners. You need people you can trust. You need people with talent who are willing to commit their time and resources to helping you achieve whatever goals you have, right? So the next year happened, and then investors started to look for us. We never went out to look for any investor. Again, because we were traumatized. We had learned from a lot of other people in the game. The Kongas, the Euroko TVs, they were all complaining about venture capital. So we're like, okay, can we figure this thing out without having to raise funding? But then investors started to look for us. And I remember we're having just one meeting. It was at Wheat Baker. And they asked us what we're doing. And we told them, what's your 5-year strategy? We told them. And they gave us $1 million at the time. And the only thing we needed the money for was just to acquire a bank, to acquire a microfinance bank, right? So they gave us $600K at the time, but the promise was $1 million. So $600K was invested at the time. $400K was supposed to be in debt. And we continued building. There were a lot of challenges, We're the first in the market. We're the first fintech in the market. So we experienced all the challenges very early. So imagine a customer adding their debit card, and then maybe Paystack is charging them multiple times. They get 10 debits instead of one. And you have to really tell the customer that everything is fine. It's very, very, very challenging. And then the next year, it grew to about 4 billion in the entire year. And let me just fast forward till today. Today, every day, or rather, let's bring it down, every second, at least 25,000 naira is saved on the platform, which means in an entire day, at least 2 billion is saved on the platform. That's on a bad day, right? Yeah, on a bad day, actually. So, again, it didn't just happen overnight. Just going back to what everyone has been talking about since, there is a process to everything. There is you cannot skip the process. You have to build capacity. If you don't have the capacity, you have to be able to communicate vision, to be able to encourage someone who has the capacity to join you in whatever it is you're trying to build. You must be able to communicate that. You must be able to build something that people need. You have to be audacious. Like I said, the world only rewards people who are audacious. And there will be challenges. There will be challenges. I just came back from Abuja because we had to go sit down with the regulators for like 3 days, right? There will be challenges every single time. Like, there's one thing or the other. I'm sure you people must have heard Piggyvest is shutting down one way or the other severally, right? How many of you have heard that in the past? Exactly. Now, when those things come out, there's a whole lot of planning and crisis management going on internally. You have to communicate. You have to ensure that they're telling people that everything is fine. Just because someone withdrew their money and did not get the alert immediately, or did not get the alert in 6 hours, they're coming to tweet, is Piggyvest shutting down? But we've sent the instruction to Paystack, and Paystack has not credited your account because there's a downtime, there's a NIBS downtime. But the customer does not care about NIBS or anything. They gave you their money, they want it back, and you've not given them back, so you're shutting down. So again, having to deal with all those challenges, no matter the business you do, there will always, always be challenges. But again, you have to start to do the work. The work is important, and that's really what everyone has been saying since. Wherever you find yourself in right now, whether you're in 300, 200, 400, final year, whatever it is, focus on building capacity. What are the most in-demand skills in the market today? The world is talking about AI and all sorts of things. Where are you in the grand scheme of things? There's hundreds of schools, and everyone is graduating every year, but then the opportunities are limited. Not everyone is going to get a good job when they leave school. The amount of good jobs are very limited. So what makes you different from the next person? It's literally in what you know. The only thing that sets you apart from the person sitting beside you is in what you know and what you have access to. So yes, some people might have interesting parents that can help them navigate life. Some of us didn't have those kinds of parents. I remember when I graduated from school, I didn't go back home. Carried my bags, went to my friend's place, again, because we had meetings we were already attending, right? Everyone's path is different. But you have to be deliberate about what you want your future to look like, and you have to start to work on it, right? So I'll just close by saying, the world is evolving. AI might be in vogue today. Next year, it could be something else. Markets are changing. There's a new set of customers. I was just talking to someone recently. I'm like, I need to come into Covenant University. I need to, talk about Piggyvest and PocketApp and all sorts of things, right? New markets are being created. We have about 5 million registered users today, but I'm looking for where am I going to get the next 10 million users? Before I even go for the next 10 million users, can my system take 10 million new users? I'm working on that currently. So markets are changing. New generation of customers are being birthed every day. The question really is, what will you build? What will you create? And then for whom? Thank you very much.